Hi guys, I hope you're good and great. Okay, sound is perfect. Please send me feedback how about the sound and everything. Um, I'm happy to be back after a week without any live. I know that my fellow friends and Jean-Michel did a super interesting live about displacement. I see a lot of people I know, Guillaume, Dom. So there is a lot of there is a two of really good TD and developers, and there is also Creative Seeds that's around. Hey, it's cool. I guess it's Jean-Michel behind the Creative Seeds account. First of all, disclaimer, this, yeah, hi Jean-Michel. This live is going to be about script into Guerilla. It's oriented for people that already know a little bit about Python, some really basic stuff with variables and basic class. It's more gonna be script than something really advanced about Python. So it's gonna be really the beginning of Python in Guerilla. If you never have used Python, please please watch some tutorial about Python more generally. It's not gonna be the point of this tutorial. If you are super advanced in Python, like Paul-Emile or Dom or Mathieu, you're gonna be bored, guys. So, but I'll be pleased to have a lot of questions and answer all these questions. First of all, this is gonna be about Python 2.7. Python 3, it's on its way. So I guess it's gonna be one of the questions. So Python 3 is on its way. So if you wanna play with Guerilla, simulate some stuff, it's Python 2. I guess so I'm gonna show you some stuff with the installation to get the right clean installation, because it was one of subject on the Discord, so I want to show you clean stuff. And I guess Guerilla it's cheap. It's shipped with a Python 2.6, but I'm gonna show you how to connect the 2.7 version. On my case, on my Windows station, I'm gonna show you my setup, all the tricks I did to get the right environment to start in my Guerilla. And so if you're running Linux, it's not cheap with it's not shipped with any Python version. There is a Lua version, but there is no Python version in the Linux version, so you need to connect it on the operating system Python. So it's going to be really close from the Windows way of connecting with environment variable, and it's going to be pretty much the same. So you just have to link to the that SO of your Linux system. That's what I'll do with my DLL version in Windows. Okay, let's go. First of all, I want to show you some. So first of all, okay, so we're gonna talk about scripts, not development really. So it's gonna be really rough development. I know I'm not gonna use Python by the book. I'm not gonna use Pep8 or something really advanced. I'm gonna do really rough stuff, and I'm sorry for all you developers that's gonna be around. Guerilla right now is using Lua 5.1 and also Python 2.6 or 7, depending how you set up your machine. But if you watch this tutorial, I invite you to follow the setup I'm gonna do right now, so you will be up to date with the last Python 2 version, and it's gonna help you to use another render farm, for example. It was one of the questions on the Discord, so it's gonna be exactly what we're talking about. Okay, perfect. So we're gonna create a clean install. I've got the latest version of Guerilla. I've got right there. It's already installed on my system, but I'm gonna do exactly what I did when I'm installing a new Guerilla. So first of all, I'm gonna execute it as an administrator. Sorry, my operating system is in French, but for you guys in English, I'm just starting with the administrator privilege. Okay, I'm gonna insert my password. I don't know what you can see, guys, or not. Okay, I'm gonna say that I want to install Guerilla, and the only thing I'm gonna change with the default system, I'm just gonna uncheck the Python runtime. So what I'm doing with Guerilla right now, I'm saying Guerilla that I don't want the Python that it's shipped with Guerilla. I'm gonna use an extra one. Okay, so I'm gonna say next, and because I like to store all my Guerilla version, I'm gonna go into my programs and I create a Guerilla bin, and that's the way I keep of my version of Guerilla. So I'm gonna point my installation on this path, and I'm gonna add the 2.223 version, and of course I'm gonna overwrite mine because I've got already one that's installed, but this is just for you guys that don't have installed this version. It's not gonna RAM you or everything. So I'm gonna install. He said you got a previous version of Guerilla that was found on this path. Okay, well, okay, I'm gonna create, no, I'm gonna change my the path to be sure that it's gonna be stored in a clean folder. So I'm gonna check Python runtime. I'm gonna go to my personal drive, the personal path, and I'm gonna say that it's gonna be the live version. Perfect. Okay, so Guerilla is not gonna say anything else, that just is copying of the file. So what he did, it's so he copying the file on my program file, but he also installed the latest samples files that are going to be stored in the app data directory. That's if you wanna go under the hood of Guerilla, all the samples is going to be stored in the right there. So it's program data. Okay. It's gonna be there. Guerilla render sample. This is also sample that you can find in the help samples menu. Okay, so I've got this version. I'm gonna create a bat. As you can see, I've got many bat right there, and I'm gonna create one that is starting with my cute minuscule. Okay, so I'm gonna starting my my system. I'm gonna create a bat. So I can create that. It's I'm gonna create new document text, and I'm just gonna create this empty Guerilla live that bat. If you're running Linux, it's gonna be that s hash. But on Windows it's gonna be that bat. So that's an empty text, and what I want to do is I want to set some variables. First variables, I'm gonna create a Guerilla variable. Okay, this is it, and it's gonna point to the path of the version I want to run with. So it's gonna be this version that I'm using right there. So maybe I will have issues with the slash. I'm not really used of Windows scripting, so sorry. And I want to start. So this is a environment variable. So I'm just saying, I'm stating the system that's Guerilla string is gonna use this path. And I'm gonna recall this variable like in the Windows system, and I'm gonna call Guerilla that exit, and let's have a look about it work. perfect, so it worked. So right now with this simple setup, I can be able to get a basic system, and I can say that I want to switch to another version of Guerilla. I don't know which one I've got in store, so I've got the 221, perfect. So let's say that I want to switch to the 221, and let's start it, and keep running the 221 version. So what I did, this is my Guerilla. Okay, so that's a Windows trick. This is my cheat stuff. So Windows tricks. Programfly is not really happy about this pass, so I'm gonna switch to that. So let's say that I'm gonna do that. Perfect. And you go to the wrong version. Starting great. What I'm doing bad? Okay. Interesting. I don't know what happened. Okay, so let's switch to my good version. So we're gonna be focused on this line. So right now that's the path of my version. As you can see, I can switch easily to a new version of Guerilla. So right now it's pointing to the 221. Maybe I've got some stuff that's overriding some other stuff. I don't know. Okay, doesn't make sense anyway. So as you can see, I can be able to switch to this. This is a way. So I'm gonna keep it like this. I'm gonna remove this. I'm gonna remove this. Okay, and we're gonna save under another name, so it's gonna be Guerilla.live. I'm gonna overwrite my file, and I want to see how it's working. So it's working perfectly. Perfect, that was it. Okay, so in this simple bat, I just set a Guerilla environment variable, and I'm starting Guerilla with this new variable. So I'm able to quickly pilot which version I want to run with. So I'm going to switch to the 223 version. With this setup, there's going to be one issue. You need to right now tell where is Python, because we're gonna have a look at the console right there. Okay, so I'm gonna open the console really quickly. So, and this is the input where I can start to script. So I'm gonna create a new Lua system, and I've got the Lua settings. But if I'm running a Python, oh, okay, it's working. Why? Okay. Import sys. This is sys version. Okay. Let's have a look which version I'm running with. 227. Okay, perfect. I don't know what I did that. Okay, perfect. So if you want to get the clean install, you need to add some paths. So which path I want to add to my system? I want to be sure that I'm pointing to the right DLL of Python. So in my case, in Windows, it's going to be in the Windows System 32 Python 2.7.dll, and I'm going to add this environment variable. So with that, okay, perfect. I can start Guerilla, starting to tell Guerilla that I've got the Guerilla Python library that's going to be pointing to this path, and I've got also the Guerilla path that is right there to the Guerilla bin system, and starting Guerilla, and is pausing just to be sure that I've got still access to my console. So starting with that, I've got a clean install of Guerilla, which is starting with the right version. I need to start to scripting. Okay, as you can see, I can create Lua Python. Okay, I'm gonna activate the shortcuts printing. So you got the Control N, that is gonna be the Lua version. If you press Control Shift and you will have the new Python. So that's the way of creating a new script. What I will do also, I'm gonna command echo. So when I'm gonna do something with the graphic user interface, it's gonna start to print something in the Guerilla console, so I can easily understand what or which parameter I'm playing with. Okay, so let's do something perfect like that. Okay, good setup. Nice. Whoa. Good. Okay. Why are we running Python? There is many script languages in the world of computers, but Python right now, it's the most common language in computer graphics. It's really easy. That's really easy to do Python. There is a lot of libraries, so it's high level. So with less code, you can run really complex stuff. But one of the issues, it can be slower than most of the other scripting languages, like Lua is the example. So I know we're gonna start about Python. Lua, it's a more advanced languages to start to script. But what was the interesting point, if you don't know anything about scripting or just know Python, that's the best languages to learn right now. So stick to the Python. Don't lose Lua. If you get bored with Python, have fun with Lua. But if you get stuck with some stuff with Python, it can be useful to use Lua. Right now, for 99% of your case, except if your name is Paul Emile, you can use Python. That's the right way to go. Okay, so basic in Python. We're gonna go there, and first of all, we need to import the library of Guerilla into our Python console, or Python interpreter. So we're gonna import Guerilla. Okay, so right now we can start to use Guerilla into our script. So we call the Guerilla library, and we can start to manipulate the class that they are dependent into this library. There is going to be one really useful class that we're going to use. It's going to be the node class. So I'm going to start with the Guerilla.node with a capital N, like any class, and we're gonna call a method of this class. One method I want to show you, it's gonna be the creating node, because it's a so simple system. But I want to show you the documentation and how I can learn how I can get the syntax that I'm gonna use into Guerilla. So I'm gonna go to the doc 2.2. So this is the documentation of Guerilla if you've never seen it. And I'm gonna switch to the Python SDK, because that's where we're gonna stick for today. Okay, so you got a lot of stuff. I'm gonna show you many more advanced part, but first of all, I'm gonna dive into the API of Guerilla. I'm gonna go into the Guerilla API. I'm gonna go to classes, and I'm gonna go have a look about the node one. Okay, so what I want to do is create a node. There is many way of handling this. Right now in Guerilla, it's a method that's called create. You just need to learn that. There is not, it's not basic stuff. It's just a fact. That's it. That's arbitrary. And we're gonna create a node. So what we need, it's we're gonna, if you wanna call this method, we need to call the create method. We need a name. And by default, it's going to be the type of the node is going to be a SandGraph node, and there is going to be no parent, so it's going to be sticking to the root system. Okay, perfect. So let's have a look. Okay, right there, perfect. Okay, create. And we're going to create this node, and we are going to call this node. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of our advertisement for one of studio that we love, Studio I. That's the name of my node. Okay, I want to run this script, so I'm gonna select everything, and I'm gonna press Ctrl E to execute it. Okay, perfect. So right now I create a node, and this node, it's Studio right there. Okay, so the name of the node is totally arbitrary. The class is by default SceneGraph node. How I can know the node of how I can know the class of a node? Just have a look right there. As you can see, SceneGraph node, that's the class of my node. As you can see, there is a system camera in my settings. There is also render graph. So let's have fun. Let's create. Okay. That's our friend of Isart Digital around, so we're gonna, but we love all other school, but ours are around. I'm gonna mess with them. So I'm gonna create a node that's gonna be called Isart Digital, and this node is gonna be a render graph. So because that's a class I wanna get right there. So that's a string. I'm gonna get render with a graph with a capital J. Okay. Perfect, and I've got an Isart Digital render graph. Perfect. Sorry for this disappointment, but if you go into the Isart Digital graph, there is nothing. Because right now we just start to call the constructor of a node, not something that's more advanced and not gonna create like we like all the render graph with the output layer, lighting, and all that stuff. So right now it's just a really basic render graph with nothing in it. Okay, so I've got the Studio node. I remove the render graph. I just create. So that's how I can create node. I can also nest node into them. Okay, maybe I did too fast. Okay, so so I'm gonna nest a node. Right there, I've got my Studio node, and I wanna create a render graph into this Studio node. So there is two ways of doing that. There is no really two way. There is two questions. First of all, we can access the Studio object node. In my case, it's not gonna be the case because I already created it. So I wanna grab this node. I'm gonna use a really useful node, which is gonna be called the Pi node. This Pi node is gonna be helping me to to call the node into my scene. So I'm gonna call Guerilla, and I'm gonna use the Pi node right there. So Pi node, it's a Python way. It's using Python to catch a node. Do I have some documentation on it? It's gonna be simple. Okay, so most of the time I'm running this Pi node, Guerilla Pi node. That's it. So Pi node, you just have to put a string, so the path of the a string, which is the path of the object, and it's gonna catch the object. Okay, so Pi node and Pi node. I'm sorry, I'm doing a lot of pop because I don't have my pop-up shield. So this Pi node is gonna be Studio. All right. Right there, so it's gonna be sh for a simple variable, and I'm gonna use that as a parent. Okay, so first of all, I'm grabbing, I don't know if I grab the node, the parent node. Okay, and after that, I'm gonna create a render graph. Into the parent. Okay, perfect. Let's run. Tag. That's it. So that's how you can nest a node into the other one. You just have to add the parent argument and telling him which is the parent of it, and you're going to be able to create two nesting object into them. Okay. Yeah, it's not really far from PyMail. Yeah, I'm not really user about Python PyMail. What, Python Maya or PyMail? Can you enlighten me, them, please? Okay, I'm gonna run Python Maya. Okay, yes, okay, Python Maya. Yeah, PyMail, it's a way of executing mail into Python. That's why I get confused. So, but yeah, okay, yeah. I guess I'm not really confident. I'm not really expert into Python into Maya, but it makes sense that it's gonna be really close. Okay, so you've got a lot of classes, of course, to create, manipulate, interrogate, and all the stuff. If you're starting Python, it can be super impressive. If you are more expert in Python, that's not going to be the first time that you can see that you can discover an API. But I want to go more into the teaching part of it. We got a lot of examples, and I ran them really recently to be sure that they are all working. So they are all working. And so first of all, you go the first step, so you can manipulate node. It gave you a good tutorial of how to manipulate node, how to access node. As you can see, that's the way. So that's the way how I get my node using PyNode. That's the case. It's not so they're using from Guerilla import PyNode, but I use Guerilla that PyNode. That's the same stuff. How to import a function or find a child or parse a scene. So navigating to a scene can be sometimes complex. So that's a super useful part to parse a scene. Dealing with attributes, so create lights, set some settings. So yeah, this one can be super interesting. I'm gonna explain that. So first of all, but I'm gonna do it cleaner. So I'm gonna import Guerilla, of course. And as you can see in this case, we use a modifier. So what we need to use a modifier because we need to create some part of the code under some context. So I'm gonna use a modifier, but I'm gonna create modifier like that. So Guerilla.modifier, I'm gonna call the class, I'm gonna call the builder of the class of modifier as mod. And with this, I'm gonna loading the file. So how I can load a file. So in the system, into the installation of Guerilla, you've got a path for a light. This is where you can find a light. If I'm gonna navigate to my Guerilla, as you can see, if I go to Guerilla bin, so 223 or live is gonna be the same library, and library lights and lights. There's gonna be point light right there. Okay, if Christoph you're on, this is perfect for you. That's a point light. So there is point light right there. So that's a path of my object. It's just that the dollar library is just an environment variable to shorten the path of the library right there. But this is my point light that I'm gonna use for. So if you want to load something into Guerilla, import something into Guerilla, that's a way of doing that. So I'm gonna go for mod using the modifier context, and I'm gonna load file, I guess without any, yeah, sorry, that's load that doc, that load file, and I'm gonna use the path of my light. So as I'm really lazy guy, I'm just copy paste my object right there. Okay, perfect. So okay, and I'm gonna store this object into my light. I didn't add something, I just want to show you something, guys, just to explain. So loading the file is gonna return some object which is more complex than just the light, and I'm gonna use for in ln, and I'm gonna print my variable. Okay, so with that, I'm gonna load the okay, now I'm gonna keep it simple. I'm gonna load my light, so okay, it's gonna be there into my render graph. So okay, perfect. Bam, point light, that's it. And if you wanna create a point light into your render graph, it's gonna be the only big difference. It's you're gonna need to yeah, it's gonna be a little bit different because you need to get the render graph as a parent, which is not gonna be as simple as just creating this node list point light. Okay, so I create this point light. It's right there, so I'm gonna destroy it. Python in scripting, you can call that to destroy an object, so I love destroying object. And there's something that's really tricky. It just I'm loading the object, but into the ln there's gonna be not only my light, so there's gonna be something else. So I'm gonna parsing my node to be to show you what I've got. Most of the time when I don't know what I've got exactly, when it's not really clear, I love to parse like with a for I understand. So as you can see, there is a couple of objects into it, and one of the object is gonna be my light. So it's a form of a list. So I want to extract the first object, and the first object, this is gonna be my light. Okay, perfect. So I've got it. It's point light basically, and like in the example, I'm gonna change something. But as I wanna show you something different than the example, okay, I've got the light. In the example, they change the type for moving from point to a square. I wanna change the intensity. Okay. Or maybe no, I'm gonna keep. We're gonna be keeping some simple stuff. So okay, so I'm going to use the method that is called set. As you can see, I'm going to get a couple of methods. Basically there is going to be the set one that's going to be to set some element, and you're going to get the like in the example set, I'm sorry, and light type, sorry, so I mess up. So first of all, I want to change one of my properties, and my properties, it's a light type. How I can know that? Most of the time I don't know, so I love to play with that. And as you can see, this is right there, light type. Okay, perfect. So one of the attributes of my light is going to be light type, and I want to set these parameters. So I'm going to use the set method, and I'm gonna change the string to the other one. So I'm gonna use, just for changing the example, a disk string. Okay, so I'm gonna remove all my nodes. Okay, right there, and here it is. Okay, I've got a crash. Why? Bad argument. Okay, I'm gonna send it to Pierre. Pierre is gonna get this one. Okay, it's stuck. Okay. Okay, that was something. Okay, I hope Pierre get it. Okay, let's go back. So we're gonna play with the example. What did I do? Okay, my point light. This is the disk. Okay, no. Okay, because disk, I use disk with a capital D as in the there, and in fact it's gonna be to keep it at the lower case of the I guess it's gonna be a minus D. Okay, perfect. So I create the slide. I'm gonna I want to change my color. So as you can see, if I'm changing the color, in fact, I'm gonna add some array. So I'm using the color attribute. So I'm gonna destroy my light and say that ln that color is gonna be set to a list, and I'm gonna do something like 0.5, 0.5, 0.5, end of the list. Okay, that's an unexpected indent. Why? Okay. Maybe that's it. Okay, I use a tab instead of okay, perfect. So that's it. I create my pont light and I change the color of my pont light to middle gray. So if I wanna get something kinky and get something like that, pure red. Second one is right there, and it's a pure red. Okay, perfect. Pure red. No, it's not pure red. There is a middle value in the green and blue. Okay, so that's how we can set up some variables, set up some object with a variable and saying like a light with this color, or changing the type of the color or stuff like that. Okay. There is also something that we can see for this tutorial. I want to show you some basic stuff to importing some geometry in the scene. So what I will show you, it's I grab some data from Mice, the movie, and thank you so much for the Mice team who were okay with sharing the data with me, and I can play with my tutorials. So thank you so much. It's not the first time I'm saying that, but if you never saw Mice the movie from Isart Digital and the wonderful teacher Dom, which is on the chat, please have a look tonight. It's 5 minutes short movie from the student. It's wonderful. It was made with Guerilla, and it was really wonderful project. I want to show you guys how to import a couple of geometry into Guerilla. So in this case, I'm gonna create something super simple. Okay, so like always, import Guerilla, and with importing this Guerilla stuff, I'm gonna point to the path of my directory. So I'm gonna create this, which is gonna be passed here, and it's gonna be the path of my cache files right there. So okay, and okay, perfect. And I wanna grab all the alembic that I've got. So one of the good way I love to use, it's using the glob library, which can be really useful if you wanna navigate and grab a lot of stuff. So I'm gonna create that right there, and okay. So this is the no, it's gonna be the path of my geometry. Okay, path of my geo, and I'm gonna use glob to scan my directory. So glob. Maybe I will have some issues with my Windows slash. I don't know, maybe. And I'm gonna print the length of my glob. Okay, so I've got 9 objects, which makes sense because I've got 10 objects without the JSON. So perfect. So I've got my 10 geometry into right there. So we're gonna have a look at what we got into this globs. It's gonna be a file object, which is gonna be list, an array, sorry, which is a list. That's the same stuff into Python, and we're gonna parsing this file list, and we're gonna print sorry, I've got the microphone which is on the way of my okay, perfect. So here they are, really interesting stuff. I removed the chat, so okay, perfect. Yeah, I just saw the dumb smiley emoji. Okay, perfect. So we got the path of the all the geometry, so we're gonna be able to load them really quickly. I'm gonna create a modifier like in my example right there. There is a modifier because I'm gonna use a create node. So what I will do, it's gonna be really close to the builder scene right there. So I'm gonna need to import geometry, which is gonna be in a geometry right there. So it's gonna be really close from this this part. I'm gonna create a modifier. I'm gonna copy paste because I'm a lazy guy. Okay, and into this modifier, I'm gonna parse my list. So right there is gonna be 4 paths in my files. Okay, and I'm gonna create 1 input of geometry per path I've got. So if you watch the if you read the tutorial, what it says, you need to use the mod.create reference with the name of the object and the path of the object. Okay, so I'm gonna be lazy. I'm gonna do something like that there. Okay, so what is the name of my object? I will need to manipulate stuff. So I'm gonna need to manipulate the path. So I'm gonna say that, but the path of the object, I've got it. This is the path that diagnostic with my JSON. So I'm gonna create that. Okay, and need to manipulate the name. So how I can get the name? I'm gonna use the operating system library, OS, and I'm gonna extract the base name. So I'm gonna use OS that pass that base name pass. Okay, and I'm gonna extract it, which is gonna be name. It's gonna be crappy, I know for sure. I just wanna go by step. And okay, perfect. So base name, it's extracting the name into a pass. Let's go for something crappy. Let's go. This is I don't remember exactly what I've got in this scene. What I've got that can be that big. Maybe the tunnel geometry is that big? I don't know. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, perfect. So Guerilla make it work. So import everything, and I've got all my object right there. Okay, that's it. That's my wall. That's my wall scene. Okay, it's load. Perfect. Why it's crappy? Because if you saw what I did, I use the arcref name. I don't remove the. I didn't remove the dot Alembic, the extension, so that's really a crappy stuff. So I'm gonna clean it a little bit. So what I've got, I'm gonna remove all the references. It's gonna be easier stuff to do. Okay, bye geometry. Perfect. We're gonna remove the extension. It can be a couple. There is a lot of way to remove the extension. I can split the string with splitting with a dat, or I can do some stuff that's really awful, but I'm gonna go crappy, quick and dirty. I'm gonna replace all the dat ABC, because I'm sure that I've got that ABC in it, because I parse with the JSON with ABC into one of my constraints, and I'm gonna create that. Okay, so with this setup, I'm gonna remove that ABC from the name. It's gonna keeping all the name of the Alembic. Okay, that's an interesting stuff. Also, I wanna use one of parameters when I'm importing some geometry into Guerilla. As you can see, if I'm importing this geometry, most of the time I can remove the I don't want to use the prefix, and I want to contain children. So I want to do these two stuff when I'm importing something. So this is what I will do. How I can do that, it's I'm gonna have a look into the documentation of Guerilla, and I will go into the create references, and as you can see, Guerilla.modifier.create references, that's my API. And what I can do, it's I can don't want to get the prefix, and I can contain children. So this is gonna be this. Okay, but the create reference and the name, a file name, a parent, and some options elements. So what I will do, it's we're gonna use a none object there to tell Guerilla that it don't have any parent, and to be sure that all the objects that can be stored at the root level, and it's gonna be the same case. I hope it cache my geometry into my RAM. So it will save me time of loading. Snap. Sorry for the waiting time. I should have choose a simpler scene to get something that fast. But I wanna show you this nice setup that they use, so it was funnier. Well, I was too ambitious. Sorry. I guess that's the tunnel, which is the appendice of these settings. Okay, which is the biggest one? This is Sam. That's maybe the animation. Okay, so everything right now, it's imported right there. So you got the camera, you got all the assets. We can have a look at the geometry. Okay, right there, beam. So that's the geo. I don't know what is the frame range, so it's in the JSON, so we can have a look. Sorry, we can have a look into the cache file. That's starting in 101 things. So okay, 101, and it's gonna end at 120. Yeah, true. It would be wonderful if we can create stories only with scrollable books. So yeah, I've got the animation. Nope, I don't have any animation. That's maybe the rat war animates. Yeah, that's a rat war animate. that's why I've got the camera and the runs. Okay, just there is some geometry which is gonna be useful anymore. Okay, perfect. So that's why I've got the animate. Okay, I saw the rats, and it was in fact the mice were animate. So okay, every element is in my scene right there. So all the geometry is it's right there. If I want to go further, and it's gonna be the last iteration of my code for tonight. So if you got question, be prepared. I'm gonna create a parent of that, because I wanna work clean. So I'm gonna create some Guerilla. That's node that create, and this is gonna be in my example geo, and this is gonna be my geo parent, so it can be geo root. Okay, and I'm gonna replace this geo root with this. So I use the create, and create is gonna return me the object that it creates. So this is why I didn't use I didn't extract element from a list. This is not a list, this is the object, and I'm gonna start it, and you can shoot questions. No questions? Okay, so I guess it was super clear for everyone. So well, if I want to go further into my setup of assembly, one of the simple stuff I can be able to do, it's extracting the name of my asset and try to import the look development of my asset. In this example, the student of mice use a library, and they store everything in a bank, and as you can see, all my look development is gonna be in my bank. Okay, right there, and that's loading this element with the something really close from the geometry. This is gonna be the way of importing my look development that I produce. I can also have a look into my examples and into building a scene. You got also elements to create materials, create render graph. This example, I don't know if there is any render graph creation. No, there is no render graph creation, but you can also create materials. You can add a map for creating something automatically. It can be fun for you if you're starting to create look development cycle to start anything from scratch with all the elements set up right in a good way. So as I destroy my camera, that's why he's saying that my object destroy. And okay, right there, so I can go back to my previous camera right there. I can go back to perspective, so everything is in place, and right there, so everything is stored perfectly into my geo parent, and I can be able to start to navigate and be able to work cleanly. And I've got a question. Hi Glenn, can you import VDB file with Python? Yes, you can import VDB file with Python. There is only one tricky stuff. It's most of the time VDB are sequences of VDB. There is no only one VDB at all. So if you want to use sequences, you need to use the file naming of Guerilla, which is if you like me, if you wanna remember some interesting stuff and not the file naming of any software, I'm going to the documentation, and you can see if you want to use a sequence, you need to respect some patterns. So if you got a sequence with a 4-digit, you just have to use the $04F. It's gonna be the case for if you got 4-digit. Yes, so you can import Python. In fact, you can import everything that you can import basically with Guerilla. You can import USD, you can import Alembic, you can import VDB. That's the same stuff. If you want to import some, maybe it's not gonna be the same case if you want to import procedurals. If you want to import, IGGEN or IGGEN EGS or Yeti, you need to use this particular node. What about the arcref? It's more optimized and avoid. Okay, so yes, arc references. So arc ref are another way of importing an object. I'm gonna hide all my element right there, and I'm gonna answer that. So you can create arc reference, which is a node, and with this node you can import an alembic. So I'm gonna start to dive and thank you to Dom also is asking a question, because he's one of the teacher of Guerilla into Isart Digital, and that's why I've got that kind of clean stuff from the students of Isart, because because of him. So this is my object. So I just drag and drop the path of my rat. I don't know where he is, so I'm gonna search for him. Where are you? It's here. This is my rat. So arcref. So arcref is another way to import object. You can import ABC geometry. I'm not really sure you can import camera. It was one of the issues recently. It's more than complex to import camera, but you can import all geometry that you want. Is this more optimized? Yes. Is this interesting to use all the time? No. Because it's more optimized because arcref is more recent way to import geometry. Is faster because it's multi-threading loading. So if you got a really huge assets, it's faster. And it can be really interesting when you got a lot of state dressing, or like in my example, so it will go really fast. One of the issues is you can start to get a render graph, which is a pain in the ass, because you got tons of nodes if you got a lot of objects. So if you're loading alembic, it can be really tricky. If you use USD, you can assemble everything to one USD. It can be simple to use the arcref. That's a good thing. Arcref is not loading the references. It's it's not loading the references the same way that it was with the arc references that I use. And so you can edit references, which from my point of view, it's a really good thing. So it depends the way that you want to work. What the good news, it's seen a new recent version of Guerilla. You can create, instead of create arc references, you can create arcref directly. So this is the same stuff as the node I've got in my render graph. This is an arcref right there, and you can load really big assets. Can I show you this kind of big asset? Okay, I'm gonna go for only the tunnel, and as you can see into my Guerilla, okay, it loaded really faster than the one before, and you can load really big assets faster. So it's just a question of flavor. You can work with sand graph nodes. You can use an arcref. That's another way of loading faster in objects. It's just a question of flavor. So I don't have any dogma about that. It's just a question of the way you want to work with. I'm waiting for questions. If you got questions. If you're waiting for the question, I'm gonna brag. I don't know if I answer your question, Dom. Please give me feedback if it was clear or not. So this is part of the Moana Island example that Disney share, and I just want to show you why it was super fast to load a really big asset. I'm gonna just drag and drop this element really quickly. Okay, so I just want to show you why it's multi-thread. So Guerilla, it's gonna start to be crazy with these big assets, so just waiting for you guys to shoot questions. So if you got really big asset, that's one of the good way of starting to load with this really big USD using the aircraft. And it's totally multi-thread. No more questions? Okay, so I'm gonna end this first introduction, this introduction of Python into Guerilla. I hope it was interesting for you. So please, if you get stuck, if you just start, if you got some questions, go to the Discord, visit the documentation right there. You got tons of example, first steps, starting commands, building a scene, render setup to create a simple setup with layers in AOV automatically. There is a UI system to use PySide to create box and play with it. How to export elements and how to create a turntable from A to Z and catch events and callbacks and events to play with Guerilla. There's a lot of stuff right there. It's a really gold mine for you starting with scripts into Guerilla. Thank you so much. Have a good night. Bye.